when you are formulating hair products, is a little bit different from formulating skincare products, and at the same time it's almost the same. Yeah, so sometimes you have to be really careful with some ingredients when you're formulating hair products, especially when you're using ingredients like Centrimonium chloride. And that's because when you use Centrimonium chloride in your lotion, because can be also used in skincare products. When you use it in your lotion or your leave-in conditioner or your conditioner or your hair mask, it's when you agitate it, it foams, which means that when you have it in your products and then it's time to emulsify, everything can become foamy, and then you won't like the end result. At the end of the day, you might have to throw it away. So that's why you have to be careful. What you can do is weigh your other ingredients, which is your water phase. Then if you are using your guar gum, add the guar gum and mix for like 15 minutes to hydrate. Then reduce the pH of that water phase. When you finish reducing it, it will thicken up, because guar gum works at lower pH. It gets thickened at lower pH, and this is guar gum is kind of yellowish. It's not really showing well in the camera, yellowish in color. That's guar gum for you. So when you want to include Centrimonium chloride and you already have Centrimonium chloride in your water phase, before you hydrate your guar gum, the foam will be too much for you and it will affect the end result. So what you can do is hydrate and finish mixing your guar gum into your water phase first, then add your Centrimonium chloride, put it on heat. When it is time for emulsification, to emulsify it, don't just agitate the water. No, don't do that. If you agitate the water first, the bubbles that will come out, so which is why just pour your oil phase into your water phase. When you're making products that are not cationic, okay, that contains lots of oil, you can pour water phase into oil phase or oil phase into water phase. But when you're making things like leave-in conditioner, which only has a little bit of oil compared to the emulsifier, which is like BTMS, most time it's best to go for cationic ingredients when you're working with hair products, because it is positively charged. That is why we are going for this cationic guar gum. There is another type of guar gum which you can use for hair products, for skin products, cake products, but it is not charged. It's just regular natural gum, which is like your xanthan gum. So, but for cationic, for hair products, it's good to go for cationic guar gum. So I hope I've covered this. So when you pour the water into the oil phase, the oil can get thickened so fast before you even finish pouring the water phase. That's why you are pouring the oil into the water while it is still very hot. Okay, you have to make sure that your heat phase is very high before you emulsify, and you pour the oil into the water. And before you pour the oil into the water, once you have your water phase, pour the oil. Use like your spatula or whatever it is that you have, use it to whip it or stir it gently before you now use your immersion blender. Because if you use your immersion blender immediately, agitate the water before you add the oil phase, the bubbles will be too much. Hope you understand this. But if you're not using Centrimonium chloride inside your products, you can agitate the water first, then add the oil phase, or you pour the water into the oil phase if you are not making little products that contains just little oil and then a higher percentage of emulsifier. I hope you understand this explanation, because I might not be able to explain it well when I start formulating. That's why I'm explaining it to you now. Hope you understand it. And if you are watching on YouTube, kindly follow, share, like our video. All right, so let's continue. Let's start with the formulation. So I'm going to weigh in my water, distilled water. When I finish weighing my distilled water using small scale, I've already weighed my gum, my guar gum, Cationic guar gum, and then I'm going to mix and add glycerin. This is my glycerin. I will add the glycerin into the water phase before I now add this. You have to allow it to do for like at least 15 minutes to 30 minutes. You keep mixing it. If you have overhead stirrer, that's when you will really enjoy it. But if you don't have overhead stirrer, then you can continue mixing with your hand, or you mix and leave for a while, and then mix and leave for a while, you know, because your hand will be definitely paining you. So like then you now reduce the pH when you see that the whole gum has finished mixing into the water very well, it's incorporated into the water. Then you reduce the pH. What can you use to reduce the pH of your living condition of your product is citric acid or lactic acid, that one of the two, to reduce pH. And then at the end of the formulation, because pH of distilled water is around 7, which is neutral, that's why you have to reduce it, if not. And at the end of the formula, you can now put it at the right pH. Meanwhile, living conditioner or any hair product is usually around 4 to 4.5. okay, it's not as high as skincare products. All right, so let's formulate. When formulating, make sure, especially if it's for sales, make sure you dress for it. Your gloves, you sterilize your tabletop, sterilize the tools, the equipment, the beakers, or if it's stainless board you are using, you sterilize everything before you start formulating. Okay, you wear your hair nets, everything has to be clean. That's PPE. Your journal should be close with you, where you can write down things, especially when you're even making samples. I don't want water to pour on this. And weigh each ingredient well. Don't overweigh, because it's going to affect the end formulation. I'm going to be formulating high sample. This is not samples, this is what I'm making for someone, but I'll put the percentage of the ingredients I use in the caption, or I'll put it on the video, so that you can know how many gram or the percentage you can use. You can also substitute any ingredients. You don't have to follow everything. No, you don't have to follow. Just make sure. So that's my water phase. Now I'll add my glycerin and then my gum. So as you can see, I tied my scale first before I measured another ingredients. That's the way to get correct measurements. And that's it. This is my water phase, and I'm going to be adding the guar gum little by little. Don't add too much at a time, so that at least you know it will incorporate very well. Like, don't just take everything and just pour all at once. No, do it little by little. It helps. You can see the water changing. Then when I now reduce the pH, it will thicken up. This is after 30 minutes. It's done spinning, and you can still see it's very liquid. So I'm sure it has fully hydrated now. I'm going to mix in lactic acid for some time, just a little at a time. You can check the pH. You can see it changed the color as soon as I added lactic acid. The color of the water changed from what color should I call it? What color? It's a little bit thicker. Okay, it's a little bit thicker, but it's clearer. We're still going to reduce the pH a little bit more, just a little bit. When you are reducing pH, make sure you don't add too much at a time, because it's easier to reduce pH than to increase pH. See, it's not dropping as fast as when it was still, when we did not reduce the pH, and it's clearer. It's thicker and clearer. You see, this is not ordinary. From the video you can see it's not ordinary water. A little bit more, and that will be the whole pH. This is thick consistency now. So let's say this is a serum you are making it. Yeah, that's the consistency. This is a serum consistency. So after this, after it's done mixing, I'm now going to add my Centrimonium chloride. I will not agitate it. I will leave it like that. Just mix it in a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, to make sure the Centrimonium chloride has been mixed into it. Then I will put it on heat. This is the quantity of the Centrimonium chloride I need. You don't need too much in leave-on products. You can use higher percentage of Centrimonium chloride in rinse out products compared to leave-on products, because Centrimonium chloride can be irritating on the skin. So we're only adding a little. And then mix it a little. I'm now going to cover with foil and put it on it. It's best when you cover your water face and put on heat, you can see little bubbles, than for you to leave it. And why is that? Because the water evaporates. You find that anytime you cover it, you can lose only maybe like 5 grams out of 100 grams of water face. If it might not even be that much, you might not even notice it. So it's best to always cover it. Then now that I have my water face, I'm going to weigh it with the beaker, the ingredients with the beaker, so that by the time we bring it down from the heat, we'll weigh it again, check if it's the same weight. If it's not the same, then I will add pre-boiled water. Remember, you use distilled water or deionized water for formulating, not your regular tap water. So even as I'm being careful, this one I have to. So I'm done mixing it in. I'm not going to mix it again. Centrimonium chloride is a surfactant that allows your hair to comb easily. Cationic, same with other cationic ingredients, they allow the hair to detangle. Centrimonium chloride is good for coily hair, for any type of hair, and then with other ingredients. So when you are choosing ingredients for hair, make sure you pick cationic ingredients over other type of ingredients. And this is my oil face. This leave-on product is an example of oil in water emulsion. It means the water is more than the oil. The water is the one surrounding the oil, while for water in oil emulsion, the oil is more than the water. Meanwhile, the kind of emulsifier, you have to be careful, you have to choose wisely the type of emulsifier if you are making water in oil emulsion. There are some emulsifier that can work for both oil and in water and water in oil, but not all emulsifier. And there are some that work best in water in oil, some work best in oil in water. Am I repeating myself? Water in oil, oil in water. Yeah, so choose wisely. So in here I have my BTMS 50. You can use BTMS 25. This BTMS 50, this is cetyl alcohol. You can use cetyl alcohol to replace it. So, and then I have my plant oil and then mango butter, just in little quantity, about 1% each of mango butter and the plant oil, 1% each, while cetyl alcohol or cetyl alcohol, whichever you have, you can use about 1 to 2%, because it doesn't really need to be that thick for leave-on products. But if it's like masking or something, yeah, masking, then it can be thicker. Then you can increase the percentage of your thickener, which is cetyl alcohol or cetyl alcohol. Then your BTMS is at 3%. Okay, so this is it. This is why this particular one, by the time we dissolve it, we put it on heat and it dissolves, it will quickly clump up. How do I say it? What's that English? It will solidify faster. Faster if we leave it, if we remove it from heat, compared to your lotion, regular lotion, that you have high percentage of oil. So which is why immediately you remove it from heat, you have to include it, you have to add it to your water phase and emulsify it before it solidifies again, because the percentage, I'm repeating myself because I want you to get it, because the percentage of the oil in this is very little, which means it's mostly thickeners or mostly emulsifier. You can see, you can't even really see the oil. So I'm going to put this on heat with the water phase. This is my water phase and this is my oil phase. I will allow the two to dissolve and heat up to almost the same degree, because most times you don't get exactly the same. One is usually higher than the other. As long as they are close, you are safe, but if they are not close, it can separate. This is as heat phase. Both of them has reached almost the same temperature, but because the oil in it is not much, if we are to carry it to the distance where we are doing this thing, where we will emulsify it, this one would have solidified a little bit. That's why we're going to be doing it on heat. I'm going to be pouring the oil into the water and mixing it immediately before I will now use the immersion blender to blend it thoroughly. So it might not really show on camera because I'll be dropping my camera right now. You can see it's still on heat in case there's any of the oil phase that solidified before it reached the water phase. So now I'm going to, and the bubbles is, you can't really see the bubbles, there is no bubbles. But if we're to do it otherwise, agitate the water, then before adding oil phase, this will be all bubbles. and see the beaker where the heat face was, the water oil face was. You see, it has solidified. We are back here. It doesn't look thick right now, but as it's cooling down, it will be getting thicker. So don't get worried when you see like water like this. Like, oh my god, what happened? No, don't worry about it. Everything is still going to be all right. This is looking better. So we can't add the cool down phase now. We can't till it has reached about 40 degrees centigrade or below. But you can see the consistency is better. Okay, so as it cools, it's also thickens up. If you don't have overhead stirrer, you don't need to leave it and continue mixing like this. Just give it after like every 5 to 10 minutes and mix. Leave it. It helps the emulsification process while it's cooling down. Now let's check the temperature. I have 38.8 degree centigrade, which means at least I can add my cool down phase. This is my cool down phase, which has been pre-measured. When it is totally mixed with the cool down phase, you can now check the pH. We are going to make sure the pH is around 4 to 4.5. If it's higher, we'll reduce it with citric acid solution, but if it's low, then we'll increase it with triethylamine. And that's the end of your leave-in conditioner, or if you're making an emulsion, any type of emulsion. So it's the same way. Hope you were able to learn something today. Please like, share, follow for more video, and then if you have any question, drop it in the comments below. Or if you're a student, you know how you can reach us and ask for more questions. Bye.